And now it's time for Guerilla Roundup. They'll let you know what happened overnight when things transpire you whilst you sleep. Right there in the loop you keep.
Hello, welcome to Guerilla Roundup for day 3 of the second test from Brisbane, a day-night test under lights. Very happy to be joined today again by William Munt. Welcome, William.
Thank you.
So if you can start off, if you would, by just taking us briefly through the score for today, where we started, where we ended, and then we'll go back and have a look in a little more detail.
Yeah, sure. So we started off the day with Australia leading by 44. So they resumed in a strong position, but the game was still slightly in the balance. And England actually started quite well. They took the initial wicket of Nisa and then removed Carey for 63, with Gus Atkinson claiming his first wicket of the tour. However, there was an 75-run partnership 75-run partnership between Stark and Boland, with Stark going on to make 77, his second highest test score, and Boland digging in with 21 not out, and Brendan Doggett adding a useful 13 as every Australian batter reached double figures. And so they ended up reaching 511, which was an overall lead of 177. And then, I suppose, as the saying goes, it was almost the hope that kills you from an England point of view. They started quite well with Duckett and Crawley reaching 45 for none at the dinner break. And we're starting to kind of build towards maybe a more neutral position. However, they lost Duckett with a ball that kept low. And after a brief rebuild with Crawley and Pope, the innings kind of fell away. And England ultimately have closed on 134 for 6, still trailing by 43 with 4 wickets remaining.
And the only possible light on the horizon is darkness, because there is a forecast of some rain tomorrow. But beyond that...
Yes.
So let's go back to the beginning.
Yep.
I should mention, by the way, you mentioned that every Australian batsman got double figures. This is the first time in Test history that a team have all got more than 12, but nobody's made a century.
Oh, wow.
Nice quirky one. It's also only the 5th time that a team has made more than 500 without anybody getting a century.
Yes.
And I know how our listeners love their stats.
Yeah.
So we start off this morning. And I think it's fair to say that England supporters had some degree of hope.
Yeah.
Hope does have a tendency to sort of sneak around the door and say hello to England supporters and then slam it in their face.
Yeah.
So how was it looking for you when it started off?
Yeah, I think, like you say, there was a bit of kind of initial early hope, and I think England started off okay. So they got that relatively early wickets of Nisa, and then actually when they got Carey out, it was a decent position, really. I think Australia obviously still had a lead of about 80, but at that point I was probably kind of thinking if England can kind of hold on, get them out for under a lead of 100, then they're in a relatively decent position. And obviously it probably would have been hard for England to bowl much worse than they did yesterday at times, but it was slightly better. And I mean, they had moments where they were a bit unlucky. They did obviously beat the bat of Stark quite a lot. But I actually kind of almost thought at times that the tactics maybe weren't as good as they could have been, or about how they were allowing Stark to knock singles. And I think maybe they could have maybe taken more. Also, Ben Stokes is normally quite proactive, and maybe they could have actually done more in that sense. So, because they did have a decent start to the day, but it all unravelled. And ultimately, that's probably what will cost them, even though they did collapse later on in the day as well.
Yes, I did mention when we did it yesterday on the roundup that I thought Stark's captaincy wasn't what I've seen from him before. There's no doubt he put everything into his bowling. He bowled 24 overs and took 3 wickets. But I felt that there was a flatness about his leadership there, which is most unusual for Stark. For Stokes. Yes, a lack of any sort of sense of doing crazy stuff. I recall watching him sometimes think, why the hell's he done that? But quite often it would work. Things like having 3 players all in line from short square leg, and deep square leg, all that, or crazy positions around the bat just to discombobulate the batsman. There was none of that today. It was just sort of there was a sense of doom almost about the England
Yeah,
players, just playing it through until they could finally get out of the field. They must have been
yeah,
totally exhausted by the end of
yeah,
117 overs, and
yeah.
they looked it, to be honest.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think that's true. Yeah, I think almost I actually felt it initially a bit actually in the previous test as well when Travis Head was going well that it almost got to the point where it felt like England were hoping to get a wicket rather than doing anything to affect that. And I
Mm,
kind of feel like it was actually at that again today because there were things like with the Stark and Boland partnership where I know obviously maybe he was a bit concerned about leaking runs if you bring the field up, but I think it's kind of one of those things where almost it's worth conceding a couple of runs if you give Stark a four, if you get an over at Boland. But I think for probably maybe 10 overs, Boland faced about 10 balls. And
yes.
obviously that's too much at Stark, who obviously he's obviously a bowler, but he's probably a bowling all rounder. And I think, yes, Stokes could have been more proactive. He probably could have done more to try and put the pressure on them. And then also, actually, it got to the point where Stark wasn't actually being that attacking. So I think his timing wasn't that great at the start. So if he'd brought the field up, there was no guarantee he was going to start pumping you through the offside.
Well, I agree entirely. The other thing that struck me is Stark wasn't batting for runs. I mean, yes, he made 77 runs off
Yeah,
141 deliveries, but that wasn't what it was about. It was about
no,
taking time until they got as close as possible to when the twilight hour was coming to put England in.
yeah,
And when that became clear, it struck me that that would have been a good time to give Will Jacks a go because
yeah,
yesterday he just bowled the one over for 9 runs and 4 byes and didn't look good. But that was against a very, very attacking team at the time.
yeah,
And when he did start bowling today, he bowled 10.5 overs today. He
yeah,
ended up with 1 for 34, which isn't too bad in terms of
yeah,
figures. I don't think he bowled brilliantly, but he did. He bowled
yeah,
quite well with some deliveries, and his very first
yeah,
ball turned significantly, which put Stark a bit on the back
yeah,
foot in terms of being very careful with him. And I think if he'd brought him into the attack, maybe 10 overs earlier at least, it
yeah,
might have given them more chance of breaking it. Because at the end of the day, uh, Australia weren't all out until after more than 3 hours into the day's play. And that by that stage, England had been in the field for a full day and a half.
yeah,
And, to go out and bat after that is psychologically difficult,
yeah,
if nothing else. Leave aside the pink ball and everything.
yeah,
Just feeling completely flattened by what's happened and a massive lead to overcome before you can even think of getting Australia back into the field. It was,
yeah,
yeah, I really do feel Stokes looked just completely knackered as a captain today.
yeah,
Understandable. I mean, he's held
yes,
England up so often in the past, but that spark seems to have gone. Strangely, I
yeah,
didn't see a single shot on TV of Brandon McCallum leaning back with his feet up
no,
today.
yeah, yeah,
Uh, so of the bowlers, before we go on to the England innings, Archer had 1 for 67, Atkinson
yeah,
1 for 114, Bryden Cast 4 for 152, Ben Stokes 3 for 113, and Will Jacks 1 for 34.
yeah.
Um, uh, well, I know who I think was the standout of those, and it wasn't the person who took the most wickets. What's your view?
Yeah. Well, I think Archer was probably the best. I'd probably
Yes,
say. I think Cast obviously ended up with the most wickets, but I think he bowled quite poorly. He was too
yes,
short, too wide. But I think Archer was quite good, and he often beat the bat, especially today with Stark. So he looked quite good. And I think, yeah, I do think, yeah, it was kind of almost like a role reversal, and then almost in terms of like wickets and performance. And then also you mentioned Will Jacks, and I'd actually said I probably would have brought him on earlier. Also, there's the factor that he's obviously right arm off spin to a left hander, which is often a favourable matchup. And then
mm,
also, I thought you could entice Stark into playing a shot that maybe he didn't want to play. Um,
yes, yes,
so yeah, I thought they could have done that, but I thought yeah, on the whole, yeah, I think definitely Cast was probably the worst. I think I would probably say he kind of I felt he strayed the most. I thought Atkinson was okay. He had kind of some good balls. But I mean, even when like he was bowling and then Cast, it was just quite hard to build the pressure because
mm,
Cast did keep on leaking with the odd bad ball. And then I think, yeah, Stokes bowled okay again. But I almost was wondering as well if sometimes maybe he finds it harder to bowl and captain, because often when he's
Yeah.
been at his best as a captain, he's been injured, so he can't bowl, and he can put all his energy and focus into captaincy. So I wonder
Yes.
if maybe he's finding that bowling is maybe like sapping a bit of that energy he kind of had to put all kind of the funky feels in place previously.
Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it? I'd have to say that if I was a selector, I'd seriously be looking at replacing Cast with Tongue for the next match,
Yeah,
because I thought Tongue bowled quite well in Canberra. I know he
yeah,
can be a bit wild, but he also bowls some excellent deliveries.
yeah,
So England finally got to bat about 40 minutes before the second break, uh,
yeah.
and Crawley and Duckett looked great.
Yeah, I think they started off really positively, and also that first kind of session, I think the dinner break came at the wrong time because they were looking good. I also thought like they left quite well, especially Crawley. He did. I think he had one kind of drive at one that wasn't there to drive after he'd hit a few nice fours, but on the whole,
Yes.
he did leave quite well, and he drove the balls that were there to drive. And I was feeling quite positive at that stage because I thought they were looking quite good. And then the break came at the wrong time, and I mean I was thinking the Duckett dismissal, I think it did keep low. There's not too much he could have done,
It
but
kept
it's,
massively low. Yes,
yeah, I
I
think,
don't think you can blame him for that at
no,
all.
yeah. I think for me, it's the Crawley and Pope dismissals that are probably the most
Oh,
frustrating in terms of you're not facing Stark at that time. Don't gift the wickets like that. And even like, I think for me, particularly, I mean, maybe like I feel like Pope was maybe a worse shot, but I was so disappointed probably for or and also with I guess Crawley because he was looking good, and I was like, I do quite like Crawley. I like what he tries to do in terms of
yes.
if it's there to hit it, but have some kind of restraint, and he had shown that, but
Yes,
he
he
just
did. He did.
and they were
He was
yeah
lovely to watch today when he was hitting
yeah
the ball.
he really was. And then there's just like they just didn't really like. And there's actually been quite a few of these England players. They're just not moving their feet. Like Pope's trying to drive out in front of his body. He's not like moving into the ball. And also he'd had the two warnings, especially the one that he just popped over Inglis at cover.
Yeah.
So I think that was poor. And then I mean
Ollie Pope, you could just see
yeah
it coming.
exactly yeah it's not a
It
surprise
was like a slow moving car crash. He
yeah
got away with it a few times, and
yeah
I just said, it looks, he may get away with it, but it looks like it's going to end in
yeah
tears pretty soon. And
yeah
next over it did. It was just horrible to watch, to
yeah
be honest.
yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, he'd had two kind of half chances, and you're kind of thinking maybe he should calm down a bit, settle. But yeah, there was none of that. And yeah, and it's also like Stark's obviously the big threat. And even like if you're going to get out to someone like a Nisa, maybe have it like Harry Brook got a good ball from Boland. I think you need to accept that. But it's the fact that like coarse and bold. It's like you don't want to kind of get out like that. It's almost like I think maybe in the last Ashes when they were getting out, like Joe Root got out stumped to Nathan Lyon. It's like
Yeah.
if you're going to get out to Nathan Lyon, I mean maybe bat pads all right, or if you bowl through the gate, but don't get stumped.
Yes.
It's one of those
Yeah.
like it's gifting wickets, which I think because like I like the kind of philosophy they're going for, the proactiveness, but it doesn't mean you can just gift wickets, and that's the most annoying thing I
It's
think.
just soft. Yeah.
Yeah, it's soft. Yeah,
Yeah. Um, so then we had Joe Root,
yeah,
who was he lasted 36 deliveries before he was
yeah,
caught by Carey off start. There was an interesting period of reviews of umpires' decisions,
yes,
which we had three poor umpiring decisions, in my view,
yeah,
in the space of a couple of overs. Uh,
yeah,
One where a Brute wasn't given out, but he had a
yeah,
very thick edge on it.
yeah,
Then Harry Brooke was given out, and he was nowhere near it.
yeah,
And then two balls later, he was given not out, and he did hit it.
yeah,
So in each case, the review was successful.
yeah,
It was a bit of an aberration, but it shows how useful the DRS system is for actually
yes,
getting
yeah,
things right.
mm,
Um,
yeah,
but again, I don't know with Brooke. Everybody says that he's a genius, and yet his decision making so far in Australia has been woeful. Really has.
yeah. I've kind of been quite surprised actually, because obviously he's always been quite attacking and aggressive, and there was that shot against India that he was berated for in the last test. But it's kind of almost like he's gone to a different level in how kind of attacking he's trying to be.
Yeah.
It's been quite strange, I think. Like I don't think he's been kind of like this, like I suppose like manic really. And then,
Yeah,
but I also think like this innings, I think he was a bit unfortunate in terms of I think he was looking to be a bit more circumspect, and I think he got a good ball. So that's almost like it's almost more frustrating the shots that have gone before, like the shot in the first innings where he'd got to 30 from 35 balls, and it's just like he didn't need to do it. And it's almost like I know he's never been like the biggest mover of his feet, but he just keeps them like just wafting at wide ones. It's almost like a bit like I kind of maybe describe it as a bit like Rishabh Pant, some of the shots he's trying to play, which is trying to
yeah,
like
yeah,
use his wrists so much. And yeah, because
yeah.
I do think he's got so much talent, and that's why I think it'll be such a shame if he does end up wasting it. And I think like this kind of regime that England have got, I do think it has worked well for him, and it could do. But I just think he needs to almost like tone it down. And it's like when Stokes kind of was initially captain, he kind of went through a similar phase where he tried to whack everything. He kind of like almost felt like he needs to embrace the movement. And now he's kind of calmed down, and Joe Root to a similar extent. And I just hope that someone says that to Harry Brook, like, you've got so much talent, just make sure you kind of use it and kind of use it wisely.
Do you think there's a degree to which that sort of, if you like, rashness or mania, as you put it, uh,
Yeah.
uh, can work better in England where you get less bounce, but with the bounce in
Yeah.
Australia, it's going to come a cropper much more frequently.
Yeah.
Because it seems to me the bounce on this pitch, and frankly, it's already becoming very inconsistent. There's been some that have grubbed and some that have lifted. And,
Yeah.
if this match were to go to day five, God knows what it'd be like, but that's not going to
Yes.
happen.
Yeah.
Um, so, yeah, I still think that the English team really haven't come to terms with the bounce of Australian wickets at
No.
all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stokes is still there, 4 off 24. Jamie Smith was caught
Yeah.
by Carey for 4. I actually didn't see that
Yeah.
dismissal. What happened there?
It was kind of just Stark ran it across him. He didn't move his feet at all. Just prodded at it, nicked it behind, reviewed it. I'm not sure why because it was a clear nick. So yeah, it was just again lack of foot movement. I think is a big thing, and driving at balls that aren't there to drive. So kind of it's like I guess a movie we've all seen before.
Yeah, yeah. And so Will Jacks is also not out on 4. I
Yeah.
don't know if he had any dramas. 134 for 6 is a pretty miserable looking score,
Yes.
especially when they were 48 for no wicket.
Yeah.
Um, 35 overs gone, so it's 3.82, which is relatively slow for England at that
Yes.
stage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, Australian bowling. Stark, Nisa, and Boland have all got 2 wickets each. I thought
Yeah.
Boland in particular bowled beautifully today.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
He just had that line and length just outside the off stump and just kept at it.
Yeah.
And the
Yes.
wickets came to him. He didn't have to go for
Yeah.
them really.
Yeah, it's almost funny how like how much England have gone all out on pace. And I think today Boland was probably the most threatening bowler in terms of consistency.
Yep,
He was getting quite a lot of uneven bounce. And yeah, he's just on that spot. And
yep. He was
that's why
getting
I
more pace than he did in the first innings. He was
yes, yeah,
138 to 142, which is pretty
that
decent pace.
yeah, that is true. Yeah. But that's what if I was England, I think I would have been tempted to play Potts in this match. Just because I think they don't have that almost like maybe Stokes is a bit like this, but he's still got that pace as in a
Yeah,
skillful bowler. So I think I would have been tempted to, and almost like once you've moved on from like the Broads, the Andersons, the Wokeses, I feel like that's kind of a bowler we've lacked. And I think that this would have been the test of player Potts. Now we're seeing with Boland, and I thought Doggett bowled okay today actually as well. So
yeah,
they're
yeah.
kind of a bit more, a bit slower, not slow, but a bit slower, and kind of relying on that craft more. But yeah, Boland was very good today.
I must admit that despite the fact that I was hypercritical of the Australians for leaving Lyon out, it's starting to look like that's not going to make any difference at all.
Yeah, I think I do wonder though also whether like I'm kind of in the same boat as you, as if like almost like maybe like just the fact that the decision is going to maybe be proved right doesn't make it right, if you
Oh,
get
I
what I mean.
agree.
As in, I kind of
Yeah.
feel that I feel they should have played him. I think because of the way England have played, it might end up being the right decision. But I
Yeah.
still think that
They got lucky
yeah,
basically.
they've
Yeah.
been lucky, yes, the way England because I mean you've seen like a part time with Will Jacks who did get quite a bit of turn actually. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
and if England had maybe stuck it out more, because there have been times where we've almost had Australia on the ropes a bit, but it's
Yeah.
like small periods, like even like I guess with the Root and Archer partnership. But we kind of we put them on the back foot and then we let them back in, which is something that
Yes.
Australia don't seem to do as much as England do.
No, no. Although we have in the past.
They have
Yeah,
admittedly in this series, yeah. But
yeah, yeah. So we're at the end of day three.
yeah,
We've got into day four. What do you see coming tomorrow?
unfortunately, I think it's just going to be a pretty simple Australian victory. I think there's still a chance. I think this is the partnership. I think because these are the last two like out and out. They can be out and out batters. And I was saying this feels like a Ben Stokes situation. If ever there was one, you need him to stand up. You need your captain to perform. So I think there is a slim chance, but ultimately, I can't see it really. I think it will get to that point where even if say we put in 100 partnership, you lead by 40, or you don't lead by that much. Um,
If
yeah, I
only
think
Leach was there to bat with him.
exactly, yeah. Yeah, rather than being at the BBC in Manchester, yeah. I think, yeah, it's just one of those things where, yeah, even a 100-run partnership, like,
Yeah.
will give you what, a 60-run lead or something like that. So I
Well,
think,
I think the one thing to bear in mind too that if it does rain tomorrow, it's and sometimes it rains very hard in Brisbane, but it
yeah,
dries out quickly. But it often becomes a lot harder to bat after the rain.
yes, yeah, yeah.
So if they had 150 to bowl at, that
Here
could
we go,
make it a
yeah,
possibility. But
yeah,
frankly, that doesn't look likely the way things are.
no,
Um,
yeah.
so let's couple of things. Your highlight of the day. What was the thing that stuck out in your mind in terms of what you saw on the field today?
Oh, that's an interesting one. Probably have to go with Mitchell Starker's Scott Boland's partnership actually because I was quite like impressed. I thought Boland played quite well, and obviously
Yeah.
Stark did quite well. So that would probably have to be the highlight. I think that was probably like the most maybe was almost the most surprising as well. So yeah, that
Yes.
was a yeah
Yes.
that was good. Yeah,
They made it look fairly easy, although as you say, they did have quite a lot of luck. I think it's
yeah,
fair to say the rub of the green was not with England today.
yeah.
Um, and the Guerilla highlight. What Guerilla stood out to you in Guerilla Towers today? Who behaved outrageously or appallingly or funnily or whatever?
Well, I thought from just overall, I quite because I've not actually worked with him. I've not been with Hector before, and I thought he had quite good insight. So that was quite.
Right.
I thought he was quite good in terms of that. And in terms of maybe a funnier moment, I'm just trying to think. I guess maybe there was maybe there was some amusing maybe interactions, I suppose, with like the comments today. There are a few times where people were kind of not maybe agreeing with some of kind of our kind of
Yeah.
takes, and it was I suppose was quite interesting. So yeah, I'll probably have to
Yeah.
go with that actually.
Yeah. It did get a little fractious on occasion. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, yeah,
Well, thank you
yeah.
very much, William. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
you doing this for us
No
today.
problem.
And
Yeah,
I don't know who it's going to be tomorrow, but I have a strong suspicion that we'll be wrapping up the
yeah.
day and the game.
I believe it's Arnav, but yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Okay. Well, thank you very
yeah.
much.
No,
And we'll
thank you.
talk to you again soon. Bye
Yep. See you
bye.
again soon. Thank you. Bye.
There's the bear in there, and Hendo as well. There are jingles they play, and swear words to yell.